well-known name. His first name is Zach. The media hasn't published it because they don't want to give us credibility. But this isn't like some WikiLeaks or something you can't prove. Zach's real. Zach, am I wrong? I mean, or what do you say about this geopolitically, this threat of world war? What if the Russians strike back? I should be harping on that. What do you say?
Trump has just plastered his name on the side of another building. But sadly, it happens to be the brick and mortar of the military-industrial complex. The same military-industrial complex that Eisenhower and Kennedy warned of. This is bad, bad news. I'm just leaving McDill CENTCOM, and the drums of war are beating as hard as they've ever had since 2003 in Baghdad and the shock and awe. This is bad news. This is really bad news. Everything you're saying is true. It's sad to hear it come out of your mouth. It was sad to see the news. I sent the text message and the email to Nico. We knew that they were going to come out with the false flag information that compromised deep state-backed Assad forces on video. We're going to do something that would push Trump's hand. You see,
well, you said that months ago. Look for a false flag in Syria. We can pull it up. So you're saying they even had people dressed in Assad forces. That's what forced Trump's hand.
And these decisions were made out of 666 Fifth Avenue, not 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It has everything to do with Jared Kushner.
Well, let's be honest. We're not anti-Israel, but there are elements in Israel that are under major pressure. And you're saying Jared Kushner.
Well, Jared Kushner happens to be the senior advisor to the President of the United States of America. Jared Kushner has no military experience. Jared Kushner has no defense experience. Jared Kushner has no geopolitical experience. But Jared Kushner happens to be in Saudi Arabia, all of the Gulf states, in Israel, making deals, wheeling and dealing. But it happens to be.
And we know the Saudis, which I want to be friends with, they've been meeting with Israel. What are the pressure on Netanyahu to do this? Because that's what CIA sources told me today, that this was probably going to come. Zero Hedge with a great article, 6 reasons Trump will strike it. I mean, Assad, forget Assad. He was a reformer compared to his dad. The West attacked Syria with al-Qaeda and ISIS, and Trump was right. Our military's greatest moment was, in the last 50 years, was 5 years ago, saying they wouldn't be part of that, Zach.
Well, let's just get to it, and we could pull the video up as I'm.
Yeah, lay it out, because you're a great source.
And this is it, and then this is very problematic. I don't care though, because the kinetic implications of this are so catastrophic that people understand. It's no coincidence that this happened on a Friday night into the weekend in the early hours in Syria. There, what occurred is overwhelming and historically reprehensible. This is it. When Donald Trump made the address to the nation. Just watch him. He's reading as if he's a hostage victim being threatened to read script.
By the way, guys, get ready when Zach leaves. Pull up Trump's statement on this.
I totally agree with that. I noticed that.
It's not his regular cadence. He's reading directly word for word. We should have been alarmed when he doubled and we spoke.
So let me ask you, have they, from your sources, because I know who you are and we have other sources, did they carry out a coup? Are there guns to the president's head right now?
Yes. Unequivocally.
Politically or physically?
Both. Both physically and politically. Politically with some damning sexual things that who cares? Just own it. Who gives a damn at this level? But also physically because, like we said, he has plastered his name on the brick and mortar because he's a big real estate guy. He plastered his name on the brick and mortar of the military-industrial complex. The last individual to truly stand up to that complex had his brains blown out. In Dallas, Texas. So
and then that's the problem is every time you roll over, not to the military, but the criminal elements that run it, who the whole military hates, every time they flush you down the toilet as an act of power. The only way you stand against him is not going along with him.
And the only way to really get to Trump is through his family. What he's accumulated, what he is, who he is, it's family and it's wealth. It's treasure and family, period. And so they finally got him. What does that do with Michael Cohen raid? I agree. I think they flipped Trump. Well, right before the Michael Cohen raid, you see the issues of him double-crossing Sessions, saying if he knew he was going to recuse himself, he should have brought it up. Basically losing faith in him publicly, which all this other alt-right and QAnon community that trust Sessions, trust Sessions, trust Sessions. We said 4 months ago, Sessions is compromised. Tillerson is compromised. Haley is compromised. We have the clips. We're on air talking about it, and nobody wants to listen about it because they take QAnon as gospel, and it's a problem. And now
you were trying to be nice about QAnon, but I can confirm who you are and my other sources. I talked to, I'm not bragging about this, I talked to 6 high-level intelligence operatives in D.C., and they said, this is bad, what Trump's doing. He may have been flipped. And I didn't want to say that because they weren't sure. Everybody is really freaked out right now.
When he double-crossed Sessions duly, and I agree, he should have done it, absolutely should have been done, but we've been calling it for months. And then Bolton came in, started cleaning the house in the national security team. This was big problems. And I sent the email to Nico because the chatter was out there. The false flags were out there. 60 Minutes ran the piece months ago of Assad coming out saying, hey, why would I do this? This is suicide. I'm not doing this. Have we learned nothing from Hussein, Saddam I? Have we learned nothing from Gaddafi, Muammar? Have we learned?
So let me ask you this. How compromised is Trump? He probably got shown fake intelligence, got stampeded into this. I don't want to fully abandon him over it, but we can't sit here and play patty cake with him about this. This is one of the most upsetting things in my lifetime. From your sources, Zach, you know, which you're a great source for viewers tuning in. What does this signify? Drudge has you linked up there right now. What does this signify? Because, I mean, we know Assad fought al-Qaeda and ISIS. We know this is wrong, what's happening. We know Syria isn't trying to attack Israel. I'm pro-Israel. I'm pro-everybody over there. I want everybody to have their own country. Why is this happening? Who is behind it? Pachenik was on today and said Israel. You know, he's Jewish. He said Israel is behind this.
Well, like I said, these decisions were made, signed, and delivered at 666 Fifth Avenue. Jared Kushner.
But Kushner's Chinese commie-controlled. So I'm not trying to just pick blame. I'm just going to, is it Israel? Is it China? Is it the Easter money? Who is it from your intel?
It's so tied in at an interpersonal level. Kushner has the golden goose. Kushner is the husband of Ivanka. Kushner is everything. Listen, when you...
No, I know, but everybody blames Israel, and I'm not defending Israel, but it looks like Kushner's more Chinese.
It's not
from your intel, is Kushner more Chinese-controlled or Israel-controlled?
Both. He is military-industrial complex controlled. He is controlled by the highest bidder, and the highest bidder happens to be Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states at this point. Israel,
exactly.
China...
And that's why Israel's been meeting with the Saudi prince, where everybody's been, yeah. Zach, you're a really smart guy. That instead of me interrupting, give us your data dump, what you think's currently happening, what this means about Trump. I'll still support him on taxes and stuff like that, but I feel like I got raped in the you-know-what.
I know. I understand. And this is difficult for people to comprehend and understand. But we have to understand, if you put yourself in his shoes, if you put yourself in anybody's shoes like this, a man's morals become very malleable when your family, wealth, lineage, and future is on the line.
No, I get it. His family is compromised, which is the same thing, Pachenik.
Look at him. You guys are going to, listen, in the coming hours, when people wake up in the morning, all the sheep, all the people, all these individuals who have no idea are going to wake up to shock and awe and say, ha, ha, he, get distracted, go to Chick-fil-A in the morning, go do something trendy. And then on Monday, it'll be talking points, and the world goes on as usual. But that's
you guys got to go to INFOWARS.com/show. So we're just doing live feeds.
Not going to...
No, I'm just looking at them.
Well, no, I'm sure they're pissed. They got to go to the site to hear all this.
They can't hear this.
They should hear all this stuff. Yeah. We're just trying the best we can, folks. We're not perfect. Well, Zach,
we have to understand, Russia has dedicated and invested 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears to have global peace become a actual...
Well, that's my next question.
Reality.
I'm not a Russophile. I'll stay there, Zach. I'm going to give you the floor in a minute. So hold on. I'm not a Russophile, never been to Russia. But just as you say, they fought al-Qaeda, they fought radical Islam, they fought on their borders, they did all this, they came in and helped us. Now they're being attacked. It's a total sellout. So what do you expect Russia to do? Talk about what Russia did, finish your point, and then they said they're going to strike back. Will they strike back? I mean, they have every right under international law to strike back, but at the same time, they've not struck back so far, which shows major restraint. What the hell's going on where Trump said Hillary and Obama funded ISIS and al-Qaeda, they're the founders of ISIS in Syria, and now he's bombing for them? What do we do as viewers and listeners? Go ahead.
This is the ending of a chapter. This should be perceived the same as any historical book has ever been read. We are not subject or different from historical relevancy.
That's right.
This is an empire. This is a complex. This is a period on a kinetic timeline that has been problematic and flawed from the jump. And what has just occurred, and I don't, how can we get really what happened on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? How can we really know what's going on with Trump? But when they raided the White House, Sessions was double-crossed, and Bolton came in, there was an obvious switch in the tweets, the text, the narrative, and the rhetoric coming from
Yeah, it was like somebody else took over Trump's Twitter.
Yeah, and I could tell, and just, I'm telling
Are you saying the president's hostage?
Watch the video. That's all I could tell you. Watch the video.
Get that video ready on Trump tonight.
It's
well, Zach, you've been nothing but a good source, and I know who you are. Are you saying the president's hostage?
I'm on the ground on the most effective area of operation when it comes to special operations and intelligence networking in the planet today, period. I'm right outside of McDill Air Force Base, and the drums of war are beating harder than they ever had. This is not a joke. This is not a game. The national security and the President of the United States are under threat, without question. This is just out of character. If not, he's been drugged. If not, he's been threatened. I can't get into certain speculations, but the troop movements, the kinetic algorithms that have already been triggered, this is so problematic. And the fact of the
Trump may have been under mind control, actually.
Listen to me. Watch the video. Compare it to others. You know him personally. Obviously, we've all had conversations and looked at him. Just watch. He's an older man. And the only
I saw the video driving in. Do you guys have Trump's statement an hour and a half ago? Well, let's play that and get Zach's take on this of the Nowens. Here it is, folks. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I'm fearing for my own family right now, and I just think about the leftists that hope for the failure of America.
If you happen to be in Russia, if you happen to live in Russia, if you happen to live in the Middle East, if you happen to live in the majority of the world that has to happen to be 350 million people within the beautiful country that we love, what the hell do you think is going to happen? What the hell should your reaction be if you happen to live in Russia?
Yeah, will the Russians go kick Al-Qaeda's ass and ISIS so that we bomb them? I mean, this is unbelievable. But we have no memory, though. That's why they do it. Here's the president. We'll go back to Zach. Here it is. And if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, on these feeds we did earlier, you just got to tune in.
INFOWARS. Script. Check it out.
INFOWARS.com/show. We'll go back to you, Zach. Here's that clip of the president.
My fellow Americans, a short time ago, I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities
He's head up.
of Syrian
eyes.
Go back to it.
Bashar al-Assad. A combined operation with the armed forces of France and the United Kingdom is now underway.
Well, Trump's now a fraud. So, yeah.
Tonight, I want to speak with you
Done.
about why we have taken this action. 1 year ago, Assad
His
launched
right eye looks
a
crazy.
savage chemical weapons attack
Oh, yeah, the last three were staged.
against his own innocent people.
And he used to, I mean, look, he knows all this. He tweeted about it. Don't go into Syria. Don't go into Syria.
Let's go back. Back it up. I agree, but I'm interrupting. Back it up to start.
Syrian Air
Back it up to start. We're starting again. I'm going to shut up. So's Owen. I apologize. I'm as bad as Owen is.
Americans. A short time ago, I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. A combined operation with the armed forces of France and the United Kingdom.
The left will claim
now
blowing up
underway.
Russians is like to help them.
Thank them both.
God, the left makes me
Tonight,
sick.
I want to speak
They
with
really
you
are the ones that did
about
this.
why we have taken
God, I'm sick of them. Man, I'm just done, man. I'm done.
Assad launched a savage chemical weapons attack against his own innocent.
No, he didn't. There's no proof. Show it. Show it, you goddamn liar. Excuse me. It's true. Man, the Russians came in there at our behest. They defeated ISIS. They did 90% of the work. I'm not a Russophile. I'm a truthophile. That happened. ISIS is running around. Europe's open to the Muslims. Russia's fighting it. And he just says Russia did the chemical attack. That is a lie. This is the first time I've seen Trump, because everywhere I check it, what the hell, Owen?
I don't know. I don't think he believes what he just said. I don't think for 1 second he believes that. How could
Well,
he
show me the proof, asshole. and that's not a violation of FCC. But I mean, I'm getting really angry here right now. Finish up with it right now. Go ahead.
Against his own innocent people. The United States responded with 58 missile strikes that destroyed 20% of the Syrian Air Force.
Oh, great. It's fighting al-Qaeda.
Assad regime again deployed.
He's now the buddy of al-Qaeda.
To slow.
Hit pause. Back it up. He said Hillary's the founder of al-Qaeda. Well, you're now the butt boy of al-Qaeda, Trump. You now give them fluffer, services. I mean, I'm serious. I will not sell out the truth. I will not sell out who I am. So screw you. Oh, and I'm serious, man. This is BS. I'm really freaking pissed right now.
Well, I think the scariest thing is I don't believe Russia's going to stand down. I mean, I think Russia's going to strike someone somewhere. It's
Russia is Christian now and is free market, and they went and kicked the radical Muslims' asses, and they're doing it everywhere. God almighty, I wish our government was like that. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's all biblical, so, just get ready, folks.
Here's the thing, man. I'm not a scorned woman. But Owen, we have maybe Trump in 3 or 4 days will disprove us. Maybe there's some weird wrinkle I don't get, but blowing up a bunch of Russians and Syrians that have fought so hard makes me feel like a piece of crap, man. I feel like a piece of filth right now. I feel like filth. I feel like filth. I never feel like filth. I don't like feeling like filth. I've given up everything in my life to be a good person, and I did everything for this guy, and now he has sold us out. What the hell, man? And that frickin' Stephen Colbert, he's all for wars. He loves it. And, all this stuff. He's against war when Bush does it, but now that Obama does it, he loves it. And Trump, it's just the left. How are we bullied by these people calling us Russian agents to go back al-Qaeda and ISIS when we should be having ticker tape parades in New York down Main Street for the Russians and U.S. troops?
He talks about doing that, but
I know people that rotated through Syria and died this year. I know 2 people. Like Vachenik said today, they got all these helicopter crashes and stuff. I know 2 people that died in combat this year in Syria fighting al-Qaeda and ISIS. And now, I want to go back to Zach. Zach, you too, Owen. What do you think they've got on the president? Zach, what caused this?
What caused this was kinetic reality of the momentum of the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned of and felt, obviously, that John F. Kennedy received kinetically, and that anything less than what Donald Trump did today would have been received as a political assassination to him, his family, and severe detrimental repercussions to the economy and individuals within the United States.
So they said, you do this or we're going to blow your freaking head off.
Blow your freaking head off, blow the economy's freaking head off, and blow the majority of the fallacy that is the perpetuation of the military-industrial complex backed reality that's been going on in this country. This is what Rand Paul have backed for so long. This is what Donald Trump tried at his best, because I believe it was genuine. In fact, I know with firsthand knowledge that it was genuine.
Yeah, but here's my problem, Zach. Once he starts rolling over to that Vice President Mueller, God, there's just no end to these scumbags. Why do we give in to the weakness? Why do we give in to such scumbags, Alan?
I don't know. We all had faith in Trump. We thought that he would be the one. He stood up to it. He stood up to the political correctness. He stood up to all of it during the campaign. But, when you think about the military-industrial complex, you think about the power. I mean, who knows? They could have threatened to nuke the United States. So you better, do this or we'll drop a nuke on D.C.
I think what Zach said, he can't give us classified stuff, but clearly they brought him people dressed up like Assad uniforms launching it. And what's the president supposed to do? But I'm not going to defend that. This is horse crap. The rebels have been caught doing it 3 times. Zach, you're a smart guy. What else should people know right now?
I want everybody to Google the trolley effect. And what the trolley effect is this. And this is taught in all special operations units, all training, all psychological operations unit training. If a trolley is moving down a hill at free fall speed, no brakes, there's 3 people in one lane, 100 in the other lane, and you have a lever that will move it left or right. What do you do? This is the predicament that they hold over the head continually as a perpetuation of the military-industrial complex. So yes, there was a credible threat. Yes, things are going on. But when he took that oath of office,
It's a triage effect that goes, sir, you got to kill some to save many.
And every special operator, everybody who knows what the hell is going on right now knows what I'm saying. Point blank.
Let's put that fake triage effect back up because you're absolutely on target. So is there salvaging Trump? Because here's the deal. I don't want to roll over on Trump. He's done a lot of good stuff. They're never going to stop attacking me, but it's seen as a sign of weakness. But I just deal with what's moral. What do I do at this point, Zach, in your opinion? I mean, what do I say to Trump? What do I do?
It's unexcusable. It's unexcusable. When you're in combat, the right decision has to be made. He was compromised. He understood he was compromised. If his ego got in his way and the family was the downfall, then there's just no excuse for it in the absolute aftermath of what's occurring. The real question is, what do you do if you're a Syrian father or mother, if you're a Russian father or mother, as you're waking up as we speak? That's the real question. And we're looking at this in a vacuum. This is absolutely triggered the kinetic algorithms for war, period. There will be a response.
I want to talk about that, but here's the deal. I have put my family on the line. I have had the system say, we'll destroy you if you don't do this. And I did the right thing. So I can actually tell Trump that, you know what, your family has no future if you don't make the right decision. I get what you're saying, Zach, is that I can say I put my family on the line because the globalists put them on the line anyways. And so they must, I mean, God, you know, I know Trump's no goody two-shoes and there's no Russia connection, but it's the average leftist. They are just the trash of the earth. I mean, my God, if there's a nuclear war, they won't even know. So, Zach, you're a smart guy. In 5 minutes, you got the floor. Break down what people need to know, what's happening currently. I mean, let's pull up the news. Pull up Fox News while we're talking. Zach, you're watching the news. I mean, what, there was a bunch of targets hit. Is it still ongoing?
Absolutely ongoing. I'm not going to access there are obvious troop movements from Kuwait, from Qatar, big kinetic forces being happened in readiness for a retaliation strike. So there's ongoing strikes as we
Oh, yeah, because the media will be like, we punched you in the nose and broke your nose. How dare you fight back? Exactly.
Exactly. There is obvious retaliation strikes that are going to occur. So there's readiness forces in transit and already on the ground. Special operators are on the ground. So this is going to be a bloody conflict.
Well, what are they feeling like? Because I talked to a bunch of special forces guy in D.C. this week. They all hated this war. They get it. So I guess they're just still going to just kill Russians because they're told to.
Well, that's like asking what did it feel like to be born? As Alan Watts said, people fear death, but what did it feel like to be born? Of course, nobody knows. It just happened, and it's obvious that it happened by the fact that we happen to be here talking right now. But it was so catastrophic and so necessary that we don't remember what occurred. So right now, what we're witnessing is the most prevalent and impactful thing in recent history that has ever happened. So in the next 24 hours, we will see maybe something very significant or maybe something that...
Well, that's the big question. If I just wanted ratings, I would have said the Russians will probably strike back. They pledged to. Will we have nuclear war?
Why would they not? What should they stand down after being double-crossed, after doing the right thing, after investing their money?
Explain to people what Colonel Schaefer and others have exposed. They were invited in by patriots in our own military that said no to Obama turning Syria over to al-Qaeda and ISIS, and now I'm not trying to lionize the Russians, but Jesus, this is evil.
This is bigger than the Russians. This is bigger than everybody, because as me and you have spoke about for quite some time, we're going multi-planetary, and it seems to me like we're doing everything we can to stifle that, because we're looking at this in a very microscopic lens in the sense of geopolitical ramifications on a kinetic level. But really what this implies is we're going to Mars, we're going to the moon. Oh, hold on. Maybe we're not. So this is obviously deep state backed, military industrial complex backed, and they are fighting for the moon. They are fighting for Mars. I'm not being sensational. I'm not trying to get you caught up.
No, I get it. They want to get us back on the planet, focused on that.
This is a mess. I don't think Trump was compromised from the get-go. I know he was not. In fact, his military leaders were not. I can tell you that firsthand. But what has gone on is not good. And if he understood that he could be this compromised at some point, the raid on his lawyer obviously kick-started a lot of things, but it was going on before that. The troop movements were going on before that. Mattis has been saying some weird things. You don't pick a Marine general. I love the Marines. The Marines are the best on the planet, but come on, from an intellectual and intelligence level, just look at what's going on. They've been dug into the fight with losses and deaths and everything on their soul for years in these wars. What do you think? They're going to end on top. They're trying to win a kinetic war, but they don't understand that they're a piece of a bigger geopolitical puzzle that will ultimately be etched into the history of time. This is it. This is it. This is credible.
All I know is the West started this fight, sent in the Arab Spring, Obama, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. The Russians stood up. The Syrians stood up. Our own military said it's right to back them. And now 5 years later, there's no memory. It's like we're goldfish, and now Trump is bombing the literal hell out of them. And and the left is all just celebrating. And I like I said, I was watching tonight driving in. So I was driving in watching this. And they're like, they had Dumford up there, the chairman of Joint Chiefs, and all these other guys. And they were like, did you warn the Russians you were going to bomb them? And the chairman had to go, no, we bombed them. Bombing Russians is now collusion. Dropping 2,000-pound bombs on Russian troops and blowing them into pieces is now Russian collusion. I mean, Jesus, I'm like, I'm done, man. At that point, it's like I'm watching press conferences, driving in on the phone. I get here, I go pull that up. I saw it, and like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, whatever his name is, the Army guy's Dumford. Who's the Marine Corps chairman? Who?
Mattis? You talking about Mattis?
No, not Mattis, the Secretary of Defense. Who's the other Marine?
I don't know.
But it doesn't matter. I'm watching this, and there's
McMaster.
No, McMaster's out now. It was it's the Marine Corps general. It's whatever. He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staff. Just pull up the current chairman. The point was is I'm driving in the car, and I shouldn't admit I'm driving in the car watching stuff, and I'm watching the live press conference. And I got
recently. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, back it up, guys. This is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staff. He's the guy in the Marine Corps uniform, and he's sitting there, and he says, he basically acts like the Russians have attacked him, like us being attacked as the Russians, and it's complete insane asylum, crazy town, lunatic level.
Well, this is a wet dream if you happen to be in the military-industrial complex, which if you happen to be a generational general, you happen to be a part of. So
what's that guy's name? I said Dumford right. My memory is right. My memory is almost always correct. I just go off the names, and I don't want to be. Yeah, so Dumford's up there saying.
Oh yeah, Dumford. Yeah.
Dumford is up there, the chairman, acting like Russia attacked.
Completely compromised. Completely, and we called it 6 months ago, and the all right in the QAnon community says no, can't be. You know, Zach says that Sessions is compromised. QAnon says that we need to trust Sessions. I don't think people understand what's going on. This isn't a soap opera. This isn't reality TV like you've been groomed to listen to. This is real world stuff. History books happen. That's not fiction. That really occurred, and you are an active member of this plot.
So let me ask you this question, and you guys try to get Pachinik on. Call him right now. Thanks.
And get Pachinik's take on Kushner, because he can really delve into it. And honestly...
Say that again? Go ahead. Hold on. Say that again?
We really need to get Pachinik's take on Kushner. We need to get Pachinik's take on Kushner and the problematic...
No, the Chinese sell out. But here's my deal. Here's my deal, and I'm going to get Owen's take.
Not even the Chinese, the geopolitical take on the Middle East, what he's been doing in the House of Saud, what he's been doing in the Gulf states. He has no military or defense background.
All right, well, let's talk about why Saudi Arabia suddenly doesn't want to fund Al-Qaeda and claims they're pro-Trump. We wanted to say it was this big victory. You said it was this big victory. They were going to stop funding radicals. But why are they suddenly so creamy-eyed? Give us your intel advice, Zach.
Well, it's very simple. He has no military or defense background. He has a business and real estate background. And quite frankly, he has been dealing in oil, natural gas, and Forex markets. Forex happens to be foreign currency exchange. So if you look at the stock markets in Syria, into Russia, and everything, the dips And the dips and the dives of all these things that happen in conjunction with military actions and movements are nothing short of a miracle. We called it on your show. Syria Girl was on my last appearance. We said the UN has discovered, this is not conspiratorial, the UN discovered North Korean markings on containers holding what? Chemical weapons in Syria. And that was right when Rex Tillerson was relieved and North Korea was announced that, hey, we're going to have talks with them. They tried to tie North Korea. They did everything they could to protect their ROI, their return on investment, on a strike on North Korea, their 30-year investment, and tie Syria into it. Didn't happen. They fired Tillerson. North Korea's coming to the table, but they still have Syria, and they kept on pushing. I tried to hint. We talked about it, but they...
No, I agree, but here's the deal. Just because global corporations, it's just like the big oil rig they had for BP, where they knew you had to dump concrete in, but they decided to do water because it was cheaper and it blew up. Look at this. They just think they can do this. Russian official, Trump serious strikes at declaration of war on sovereign state. Kit Daniels, INFOWARS.com. Attack can lead to unpredictable consequences, Russia warns. That's my only issue, is Russia came in and defeated al-Qaeda and ISIS. I'm not a Russophile. That's what happened. And now Trump suddenly turns against this. Let me get your take on that and how you expect, Zach, Russia to respond, and then Owen.
Russia will respond, but first and foremost, it has to be said, and you know you don't like the praise, but it has to be said. If Hillary Clinton had been elected, what we're seeing tonight and discussing tonight would have been done month number 1, 28 days or less within her inauguration.
Yeah, she said she wanted war with Russia.
So what we did is buy time to try to stifle and sort of wobble the kinetic momentum that was going on. And it does not excuse what Donald Trump did, but we tried, we pushed, we did all we could because it seemed right, and I believe he was genuine. But what occurred tonight is unexcusable, and it's done. So we can't be ashamed. We fought. We did all we could at the highest capacity that we could. And listen, this is unexplainable. We're looking at it in real time, and I'm going to tell you right now, from a place where things are generated and happen in MacDill Air Force Base, the wars are the drums of war are beating and echoing as loud as they've ever had. That's it.
Well, that's right. And you got the Russians saying we've got our troops ready on our borders. Western forces are massing. You've got Trump back in 2013 saying you've got to get congressional approval to do all this. This is insanity. What do you think they got on Trump to do this?
Well, ultimately, it's financial when it comes to legal avenues to get him physically impeached, but then it becomes ego-driven things where it's photos, things of this sort, that who cares? If I was you, I would take the Tiger Woods route. You don't come out with your mom and, you know, and apologize. You own it, say, I made a mistake, I'm a man, who cares? You drive forward. But for whatever reason, deny. I get it. Get the best lawyers in the world.
I know.
It's just problematic. There's some ego compromising things if you happen to run the narrative of him that they possibly got, especially in the raid when it comes to financial documents and personal images and videos, but nothing that could be impeachable, nothing that who cares if you just come out and own it. Who gives a damn? We're talking about World War III. And when it comes to the military-industrial complex, I believe it gets more sinister because we could take the line of it, oh, it's just ego, it's just pictures, it's just money. Yeah, that's good and great. But then it becomes the real threat of, real physical harm to him, himself, his family.
Well, sure, Zach. Zach, let's talk about recklessness. Here's the deal. We know the globalists are funding radical Islam. They're funding all these other radical groups. They're funding communism. They're funding anything that's is a disturbance. And now they're trying to get us into a war with Russia because Russia has pulled out of globalism, has its own sovereign nation, and they're trying to destabilize Syria, Egypt, Libya, other countries that are trying to build a real nation, good Muslim nations that are not radical. And so we see the evil perspective. But to sit here now and watch Trump suddenly flip-flop to this when we know he knows the facts, that shows they've compromised him, or they showed him, like you said, maybe you have sources, maybe you're just predicting people dressed up in Assad uniforms launching a chemical attack right when the Russia's pulling out, right when the U.S. is pulling out, right when he's won. That's like, it's your birthday party, so you shoot yourself in the head. It's totally stupid. So, to your view, at a gut level, why have the Russians stood down? Thank God they have. Go to bed like I made a nuclear war. That's how this stuff escalates historically, mainline historians. Why are they standing down, and Why did Trump do this? And where do you see this going now? Because you say, oh, the Russians will respond. How do you respond to this? I mean, this is shameful.
You fight for your life. You fight for your life and you fight for humanity. Period. And you hinted at it, and I've sent some emails. I've said what I had to say. It'll come out eventually. The Department of Defense was provided with video of individuals who claim to be part of pro-Assad forces in full regalia who are compromised and deep state backed. So for the undiscerning eye, for the public viewer, for public consumption, it will look like such. But obviously, in a war-stricken country where there is no economy, where war is everything.
Well, yeah, that's like Operation Himmler to kick off World War II in 1939. The Nazis dressed up like Poles and attacked their own base. You're saying 100%. You've seen footage of an Operation Himmler?
Yes.
And that would explain what Trump did. He's shown this by Mattis. What is he supposed to do?
So so it's double pronged, it's double flanked, right? He's covered from all angles. He's blackmailed. He knows what's going on. He can see who's applying the pressure. Then once this imagery, once this intelligence is provided, it's quite obvious what needs to be done. Because if not, the next step happens. And if not, the next step happens. And he's not a dumb man. But like we opened the
So how do we unwind this? Because Trump overall is a good guy from what he's done. But I agree, he's compromised. He's rolled over. This is really horrible news. What do we do against the deep state? How do we counter this? What's the next step? What do you expect to happen next in this nightmare scenario? And then Owen, jump in.
I expect I expect retaliation. I expect disgust and disdain from the public. I respect it. I expect an outcry. I expect protest. I expect demonization. I respect praise from the wrong people who should get praise from.
And I expect the left to say Trump's a traitor for not nuking the whole planet. We're going to hear that too, that he was soft and didn't kill everybody.
And I expect Barack Hussein Obama to say nothing, weirdly, when it was his red line, when it was his force that we're fighting, when it was all this crap that he had to start, that he perpetuated, that he created. I expect him to say nothing, weirdly. This guy who's not as late in his life as most presidents, who's thriving, who is heralded by all the left, to say nothing. Because he knows what's going on. He's played his chess move, and it's very bizarre. But I honestly expect this to have a worldwide protest. I expect this to be the Russians to maybe not necessarily turn the other cheek. They will not allow themselves to be continued.
No, but I mean, listen, I'm not a Russophile. The point is the globalists created ISIS. They funded the Arab Spring. They launched the attack on Syria out of North Africa, out of Libya. They did it all. We stood against it. Russia did the right thing. Our military did. And now the globalists think we're so stupid they're going to crap all over this. We've got Joel Scalzi coming up in a few minutes of World Affairs Brief, Marine Corps aviator, great researcher. But Owen, get in here right now. I want to get your take. You've been sitting there.
Well, I actually don't think the American public is going to care much about this. I don't expect much of an outcry from the American public, from the left or the right. I think the left wants to remain silent because they want to continue their propaganda of Trump-Russia collusion. I think the right is just
they'd rather blow the planet up.
Well, and the right's just going to dive.
Oh, we're anti-Russia. Russians are on Earth. Blow up Earth.
The right will just dive right into the neocon industrial military complex. But I expect a full retaliation from Russia. I would actually expect Russia to...
But a full retaliation would be blowing the ships up.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked if that happened.
No one's talking about China. All of a sudden, China doesn't exist?
Well, doesn't it look like at this point, though, that Trump is actually working better with China than he is Russia?
No, never. We're fighting for number one on the totem pole. So all this is occurring in a death blow of a failing system. See, me, you, and Alex, and everybody who's listening right now happens to be American, happens to be patriots, happens to believe in truly the democracy and the Constitution of the United States. But what's occurring right now on our behalf has nothing to do with us. This is a fight of a dying system and the eventual reality of a Chinese century, which me, you, and everybody listening is trying to fight. But people fighting on our behalf happen to have very different points of view, as we spoke about for several months and years.
So then where does China come into play now? Do they just let America and Russia battle it out and then they try to mop up afterwards?
Absolutely. China's Dana White, just watching the fight in the octagon, ready to collect and possibly sell later.
Kind of like what happened with the American economy and they were buying up everything that was left behind?
Unequivocally. Unequivocally. The numbers don't lie. This is disgusting. The only hope we had was full adherence to the script and the full revitalization of the American Constitution. And I hope I'm missing something, but I don't think I am. Because what I anticipate is a fight for our lives in the next coming months. And it's nothing that we haven't televised. It's nothing that you haven't been speaking about for years and years and years. Trump gave us a breath of fresh air, really kept us motivated, pumped us up. It's going. But this is critical. This is a serious marker. If a tire blows out, you just don't keep on driving down the road. You should acknowledge it.
No, I agree. Zach, let me ask you this question. Then we're going to Joel Skousen. Talking to other people that are in the Geospatial Center and Space Command and the Pentagon and all that, when I talked to a bunch of people when I was in D.C., some of them were like low-level CIA, some were high-level. Sent me a bunch of CIA guys I was with. Not like bragging. It's like saying with the Coca-Cola company. They were all against this, saying it's BS. Assad wouldn't do this. This is crazy. It's a false flag. God, this is horrible. They all agreed. When you're there at Cape Canaveral, and talking to all those folks, what is their sense right now?
It's tough time. This is not good. This is worst case scenario. Nobody plans to go out on the night of the town, have a good time with your significant other, and get into a fight. I'm going to go out to dinner. I'm going to have a good time. Here we go. But if somebody pushes you and you get roughed up, you have to react. You don't go out planning for that. But make no mistake, there was a major speed bump today. This was unprecedented. The future is unknown.
What do they have on Trump? I agree with Kushner and all of it to get him to do this when we know it's been Al-Qaeda and al-Nusra and ISIS that have staged the other chemical attacks. What did they get on Trump? Because I see this as the real demarcation line of the beginning of the end. I hope that's not the case, but at a gut level, already my gut is saying Trump's gone.
Bare minimum, we are going to have to retaliate with massive force, because if they don't retaliate, it would be this bizarre coincidence. Why would they not retaliate? If we were Russia, what would we do? So now that we have to deal with war, that's like saying, that's like discussing who's the MVP and what are they going to do next season before the championship game is played. What we're looking at in the next 72 hours is something very remarkable and unprecedented. It's a marker on a timeline that will.
No, I agree, but we were beginning to roll up their networks. We were the pedophile networks, all of it. It was starting to actually happen. The economy was coming back. Was it the raid on Trump's lawyer? Because we know it's not Russiagate, but you run casinos, you do this. I mean, nothing's perfect. I mean, you make an entry wrong on a bank account, the FBI says it's criminal. Clearly, Trump has crapped his pants to do this at this point. And I'm not anti-Israel, but all our sources say Israel's name is all over this. And that's what I...
Well, like I said, I opened the call. I said, listen, let's not look at what was televised and broadcast to the world at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Let's look at what was done at 666 Fifth Avenue. And that's going to be the fall, because it's not about Jared Kushner. It's about Ivanka. And if you realize his interpersonal communications in his family, you realize what is really going on, it all becomes this very apparent, bizarre family tie thing, which if...
No, I understand. And Zach, you're a great source. I know who you are. You've been a big intelligence source nationally. If people knew who you were, we're not giving your name out. You're a big source when you finally go public on the show. What are the other military sources and Space Command people and NASA folks and DARPA people talking to you? What do they think of this? Because this came out of, I thought, Trump was going to hit him a few days ago. It was terrible. Then he backed off. We were all going to have a nice Friday night. I was eating dinner with my wife. We're about to watch a movie, and this happens. I drive in here. What are your other people? What does Elon Musk say if you've talked to him, and what are they saying?
Prepare for everything to change.
So it's real bad. It's real bad?
Everything will change. Everything is going to change. There's no way to there's no way to put a good quotation on it. Just bare minimum, everything will change. We could not expect other sentient beings to do nothing. The momentum cycle of what's going on right now does not define Americanism, does not define the United States of America. But make no mistake, it is a real and active force that is providing harm. Eventually, the bully gets beat up, and it's a problem because we happen to be in the capacity of it. And we've been doing everything we can to defend it. But make no mistake, things are going to change.
All right, Zach, let's talk tomorrow. I'll do an emergency broadcast on Saturday through Sunday. Thank you so much. God bless you. We appreciate Zach.
It'd be an honor.
Thank you, Zach. And Zach, I know who Zach is. Again, it's his real first name. He's been in national news, been in newspapers, Army intelligence officer, mid-level officer, and then works for the Space Command, the whole thing. And he's a patriot. And I've talked to folks. Zach's a good source. And you can hear him. This is a really bad sign. Hopefully we can work this out, but I don't know. And I trust Joel Skousen, Marine Corps aviator, officer, best-selling author, Cleon Skousen, the guy that exposed the whole globalist agenda 60 years ago. When I was a little kid, and they had the Naked Communist, the Naked Capitalist, reading those books. But seeing them when I was like 5 years old, reading them when I was like 12. I didn't get him on in like pre-programmed things like CNN. I don't know what his take is. I don't know. But we're going to find out from him right now. Are we making a big deal out of this? Is it no big deal?